Hi everyone! Welcome to this week's vlog-ish. It's going to be more of a chatty one. This week I'm going to be talking all things Etsy packaging to start with, and then I'm going to go a little bit into finding manufacturers and UK-based and manufacturers that I use, and then I'm going to answer some questions which I put a call out last week on YouTube, and then I also have had some through Instagram and from my patrons as well. To start with, the reason I'm doing this is because I run a completely plastic packaging free Etsy shop. In terms of packaging, at least, I personally don't like the feeling that something that I use to send an item to a customer could last for 1,000 years or more. Could just be me, maybe I'm crazy. And the second thing is, and I get asked this all the time, the main thing in my shop is art prints, and I think it's a big misconception that if you're selling pieces of paper you have to ship them in cellophane sleeves. I think for the first 6 months of running my shop I sent everything out in cellophane, and then I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore for aforementioned reasons. And so I decided to make this change to completely plastic free, and honestly I think the main thing people are worried about with paper is water damage in the post, but I personally have never had anything delivered to me or from me, including my shop, that has been damaged in this way. So yeah, for me it's really not worth it to use any plastic packaging. The one exception is I do use bubble wrap. This is all from things that have been sent to me if I'm ordering like office supplies from Amazon or anywhere else, and I get something wrapped in bubble wrap, I always save it and I do reuse it because I don't want to have to throw it away. And if you get something from me wrapped in bubble wrap, it is second or third hand, so please reuse where appropriate. So art prints. I'm just going to talk about how I package everything in my shop because I think that's the easiest way to get across what I mean by plastic free packaging. Art prints, such as this art print. And I have these vellum, well they're more like glassine paper envelopes. It took me a really long time to figure out what I wanted to actually use to package things, because it's also really important to me that it looks beautiful and that it's a really nice experience for people opening orders from my shop. I love packing orders because of this reason, so having a translucent envelope, you get like the tease of the art print before you open it. I don't know, I just think it looks really nice, and it's plastic free. So I'm going to put the links to all the products I talk about, like all the packaging and everything, in the description. There's going to be a bumper barrage of links. Now this is probably the biggest, most important thing in my packing is cardboard sheets. And again, it took me a while to figure out like what thickness of cardboard. So you can see these like corrugated cardboard sheets, and then I have this much thinner like craft cardboard. If I'm sending someone, for example, like 6 greeting cards, so it doesn't really need to be stiff, but I just want to protect it if it's going overseas, then I'll use the thinner stuff. Because it's also important to keep the weight down so that I don't have to charge too much for postage to customers. But art prints, I always stick in one of these. If it's a small size like this, one is fine, even if it's going international. But with A4 or larger prints, I always put a piece of cardboard on the front and the back of the print, just because it's bigger and it's more likely to get bent in the shipping process. Then, once I've packed everything up, I wrap it all in either tissue paper or a paper bag. These are just like classic counter bags, so like sweet shops and things, and this is tissue paper. I feel like I don't need to explain tissue paper to you. And then I package everything in an envelope of some form or another. Again, I have normal, thinner envelopes for much smaller things, cardboard envelopes, which is how I send out all of my prints. And then I have these little cardboard boxes, which are boxes but they're really thin, so they fit through people's letterboxes. So in the UK these are large letter size, which won't mean anything if you're not in the UK, but it basically means They cost the least amount of postage for shipping things that aren't completely flat, and I use these for, I have things like care packages in my shop, birthday boxes, and I also use these if someone buys a print and an enamel pin, or lots of prints, or if anything other than a flat piece of paper basically. Especially enamel pins can really damage prints if they're not packed with enough padding, and this really helps with that. I've also found if I'm shipping delicate things, if I get a sheet of cardboard the size of this and then I tape the delicate thing in the middle, it basically means that the rest of the box is like a buffer, so it really helps things to not get broken. Like I sell mirrors, for example, like little pocket mirrors. So yeah, that's really helpful. Obviously all of my envelopes and all of my boxes I have in so many different sizes, because I have different sizes of prints, different sizes of everything basically. So yeah, I definitely have a big variety of packing materials, but it really works for me. The other thing that I have in my shop is sticker packs. So for example, I have these little mushroom ones, and you can see, again, this is packaged in like a glassine, I have no idea if I'm saying that right, I hope so, like a glassine little bag, and then I've just stapled, I print this little cardboard backer on my home printer, and then I just staple the top. So that's how I make my sticker packs, also plastic free. If I'm sending like a couple of small stickers and I don't want them to like get lost inside the envelope, I have tiny envelopes, and I also occasionally use glassine bags as well, so I'll pop all the little stickers in there, seal it with my sealing stickers. So I either use these or washi tape to seal things when I'm packing. I'm really hoping that that's going to come into focus. Yay, okay, it is, awesome. So you can see it says, please compost or recycle. These stickers are made from 100% recycled paper with soy-based inks and all of that, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the people that make them in the next section, which is manufacturers. For now, I also wanted to say that I write a note in every order. I love handwriting notes. So I just use a little post-it note. I have a whole array of different shapes and sizes, most that I'm trying to use up. Yeah, so I write a little note on a post-it note. And then finally, I have paper confetti, which I'm hoping you will be able to see. It's really fun. Yeah, just kind of sprinkle some of that in every order as well. I think that's near enough everything. What else? Oh yeah, so I have just like plain old washi tape that I buy in packs, like multicolored packs. And then I also have, for sealing the actual parcels, I have this paper tape. Again, I'm doing a lot of like beauty vlogger, holding it up to the camera, so yeah. I have this pink cheetah print, which I love. It's water activated if you haven't seen it before, so it comes completely dry on the, like the whole thing will unreel, it's not sticky. And then I activate it with a damp sponge, and it's actually, I've been amazed at how strong it is and how instantly, because my hesitation with it is that with sellotape and things you get like an instant stick. But honestly, the moment I get it wet and the moment I start sticking it down, it has a really strong grip, which sounds like a very boring thing to talk about, but it's actually really important when I'm sealing boxes or things that are travelling a long way. What else was I going to say? Something else just popped into my head. Oh, so for like extras that I put in, I have a number of things, like a couple of second stickers that have minor manufacturing errors, or the cut line is slightly off center. But then I also have, this is my standard freebie sticker at the moment. It says, there's no place like home. There we go, okay, finally. So there's no place like home, so that's just like a paper sticker. And then I also have these tiny naked ladies, which are actually risograph prints. Ages ago, like years ago, I got some riso prints done, and if you don't know, you get them done in a massive sheet. and I had like a strip of extra space down the edge, so I filled it with these, and I have been putting these in orders ever since. The freebie that I put in every order varies depending on how much I'm putting in the envelope already, if the order's really full, and other things like that. But yeah, that's kind of a whistle-stop look into my packaging process. Next up, I'm going to talk about manufacturers and a few of my favourite ones. And the first one I want to talk about is a company called print.work. I should preface all of this by saying that I'm in the UK, so most of these are UK based, if not Europe based, suppliers, because I am based in the UK, and it's also important to me that I try and minimise the carbon footprint, which brings me onto print.work, who I use to print my thank you cards, which are just kind of like, yay, you're awesome, and then they have a little cutie mushroom print on the back. I stuck a print on the back of my thank you cards because I want people to hang on to it, so that if months down the line they forget all about me but they've kept that mushroom, then they can turn it over and see who I am. And they also did these, which I just talked to you about. What else did they do? The backing cards for my mushroom pins are made by print.work as well. You can see it's the same design as my sticker. And the reason I love them so freaking much is because all of their paper is 100% post-consumer waste, so it's all recycled paper that's come from like the office industry and other businesses. Basically, they recycle all the paper. All the ink is vegetable or soy based, and it's eco-friendly, which means it will completely biodegrade with no harm to the environment, which is amazing. I actually also got some test prints on some of their papers, because I'm going to swap my art prints so that they're printed by them as well. I think the first one I showed you was upside down. I don't really know. Yeah, they're a really amazing company, and they're also carbon neutral, which means if you order a product from me that is from them, it's completely carbon neutral, because Etsy offsets the carbon emissions of every delivery. So that is pretty cool, and they're an amazing company. I cannot recommend them enough. So in this part of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about products and the kind of products I sell and where I get them made, and products. I don't know what else to say in this intro. Okay, anyway, have some tea. So I talked a little bit in a previous video about how I set up my Etsy shop, and the first thing I did was buy an art printer. This was such a good thing for me. It was a life-changing thing, really, because it meant that I could print as many different designs as I wanted. And while the cost per sheet is more expensive than outsourcing, overall it meant that I could list 50 prints instead of 3, because if you're buying products in from a manufacturer, you have to buy a relatively high volume to make it cheap enough per product. And a lot of companies have minimum orders as well. So yeah, getting my own printer was a really great way to get around this, because it meant that I could literally draw something, upload it to my shop, and sell it the day that I drew it. It was all so instantaneous, and I basically only printed something once I had sold it, which was a really great way of starting my shop. Now I still do this with all of my new products while I'm kind of testing the waters, seeing how well they're going to sell or if they're going to sell. A lot of my real workhorses that I've had in my shop for a while, or my best sellers, I order in stock from other companies. So with art prints, for a really long time I ordered all of my art prints through printed.com. They are such a good company. The customer service is really great. If there was anything wrong with my order, they would just reprint the whole order and send it out to me, which is such good service. And the only reason that I am going to switch over to print.work, who I talked about a second ago, is because they have this eco-friendly ethos, and that's really, really important to me. And print.work do some eco-friendly things, like all of their paper is FSC certified, which means that it doesn't like contribute to overall deforestation, but other than that they don't really have that many eco-friendly credentials, which is something that's really important to me. So yeah, that's why I'm switching over to print.work, but I can highly recommend printed.com if you are looking to get things printed. Another company I use in the UK to get things made instead of art prints is Awesome Merchandise, who you might have heard of. So I get all of my notebooks through them. These little A6 ones, I've got 3 designs of these with dotted paper inside. And then I also have these tiny tiger mirrors. Yeah, so I have these tiny pink tiger mirrors, if you want to see yourself. Hi! And then my social distancing badges as well. That's a bit off centre. And then I also I have these little pencils as well that have a foiled little message that says "for cancelling plans" on the back of them. So they're from Awesome Merch. And then stickers. With loose stickers, unless they sell really well, I print them myself and I make them on my Cricut, which you will have undoubtedly seen me do in previous vlogs. So this is an example of one that I have printed and made myself on my Cricut. This is my little husky guy. But then if I want speciality stickers or ones that sell really well, I get made through sticker app, like this holographic little space girl. Yeah, I really like sticker app. They also have great customer service. I've had a couple of times where the cut line's been wrong and they've just reshipped the entire order, which I think is great. And then sticker sheets. Again, most of the time I am printing and making them myself, but my 2 current bestsellers, which are Animal Crossing, of course, and the floral self-care sheets. Both of these I have had made through stickershop.co.uk. Again, all of these links are going to be in the description. So I still do a combination of making products myself and outsourcing where I need to. Okay, so to kind of round out this video, I'm going to answer some of your questions. Now, I need to apologise in advance because I've had so many questions and there's no way I could answer them all in one video, but I'm going to try and combine some of them and hopefully I will have already answered some of them in this video. And then don't forget that I have also done a previous video about Etsy as well, which goes into more of like the nuts and bolts of running an Etsy shop and kind of my top tips. So I'm going to link that in the description and the cards as well. So the first one I'm going to answer is, do you have any advice for someone thinking of eventually being brave enough to start? And the reason I want to answer this is because I cannot tell you how much imposter syndrome I have had over the years about running a shop. I think it affects a lot of creatives. I just feel like I'm not qualified enough somehow. And honestly, the biggest piece of advice I could give you would be, please just do it. Please go for it. Like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? I think it costs 15p per listing to list it initially. Obviously, there are further charges down the line, but to actually set up a shop and list things costs you 15p per item. So you have nothing to lose. You have so much to gain. And I think you'll find that once you start making sales, that will really help quiet down that pesky imposter syndrome, which I still have every day, but it definitely gets easier the more you do. So yeah, my advice would be just go for it, because you are good enough no matter what your complicated little noggin is telling you. How do you determine your pricing for the stuff you sell? Can you talk business keeping? I'm assuming you mean like talk a bit about finances. So the general equation for selling products is, when you buy something from the manufacturers, that's the production cost, but then don't forget you also have to factor in your time to create the product, your time to pack and post the product. If you're offering free shipping, you have to factor that in. And then you need to also include things like the rent of the space that you are using, any softwares like Creative Cloud or whatever you need to do your business. Like, all of that has to factor in to the cost of the final product. I'm thinking about doing a whole video just on pricing, because I've been getting a lot of questions, not just on like running an Etsy shop, but in terms of client work and everything. So I'm thinking about doing a whole video on that, because I could talk about pricing forever. But basically, long story short, make sure that you are charging enough that it's actually worth your time. Because if you're making something and you're essentially paying yourself minimum wage, then I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's what you should be doing. Because also don't forget that as creatives, you might not work or get paid work 100% of the time. So the hours that you do work and you do get client work, you need to factor that in to be able to pay rent for every single day of the month instead of a week out of the month or however long it is you're actually doing client work. The biggest general tip though that I would give about earning a living as an artist is make sure you have multiple streams of income. That has been a lifesaver so many times, and it will be so many times over in the future. Make sure that you don't just run a shop, you're also doing client work or publishing, or again, I've spoken more about this in a previous video, but make sure that you have your finger in a lot of pies. Okay, I have so many doubts with Etsy. Number one, how do you calculate your shipping costs? Okay, shipping costs I calculate by, I have like a running price list from the Royal Mail, which you can just download on the website. I'll stick the link in the description. And then from there, it's like I was saying a second ago, you have to factor in the actual cost of the shipping, and that means like how much is it going to cost you per sheet of tissue paper you use, per strip of washi tape you use to seal it, per post-it note. You have to factor in every single cost, and it can feel really tricky because some of them will come out as really arbitrary numbers like 2.5p or something like that, but you just need to make sure that you're earning enough that you're covering all of your costs. How did you get your shop out there? Was it through Instagram? Yes, definitely. To be honest, I can attribute most of the start of my career to Instagram, and I didn't even really have a lot of followers when I started really making money from my shop. So yeah, Instagram would definitely be my first recommendation. But I've also had a lot of success on Pinterest. I currently have between 1.5 and 2 million views on my work a month on Pinterest, which is constantly blowing my mind. But I drive a lot of traffic to my shop through Pinterest as well. Yeah, so Pinterest can also be really great because you can actually put a link in every post as well. But even though you can't on Instagram, I have had a lot of success through Instagram. And to be honest, I think just getting your name out there is the most important thing. I think it almost doesn't matter what platform you pick or how you do it. It's just you need to consistently put work out that you're proud of and that makes you smile, and the chances are high that if you're making things that you like, there will be a market for it, because while all humans are different, we have very similar interests in groups. How many products did you start your Etsy with? I think I had 4 or 5, because the very first thing I started with were some enamel pins, and then I also had some digital downloads which are long since archived, but the pins I'm actually still selling on my shop. So yeah, I really didn't start with very many, but as you will have seen if you watched my previous Etsy video, I would highly recommend as many listings as you have, because each individual listing is a new opportunity to be found in Etsy search, and that is Etsy's superpower, really, and that's why I prefer it over other platforms, because it's essentially a search engine as well as a shopping platform. It has a dedicated audience of customers that are already, they go there when they want to buy presents for people or decorations for their home, and I think that that's really unique, and it definitely, at the moment, I get between 50 and 60% of all of my traffic comes from within the Etsy search engine, which means it's sales I just wouldn't be making otherwise. So, yep, I am a big fan of Etsy. But you really do have to, get to know the SEO, which is search engine optimization, and it probably took me a good year to get to grips with that, but again, I really have gone over that in more detail in my previous Etsy video. And then to finish up, I have a couple of questions from the lovely Emma Carpenter, who also makes wonderful vlogs here on YouTube. I will link her in the description. Emma asked for tips for making prints at home, and what size prints do you think people prefer? So currently I stock 3 sizes of, I nearly went 3, 3 sizes of prints in my shop, A6, A5 and A4. I used to sell A3 prints in my shop, and I still have a couple knocking around that I might list on their own, but shipping really big prints is a nightmare, and it's also really expensive. Basically, if you're sending something really thin and flat, the chances of it bending are so high. It's so high. I would say probably 50% of all the A3 prints I sent out, I had to resend because they arrived damaged. So that's why I don't send them anymore. My most popular size is A5, which is my medium size. So, but I do sell lots of A6, which is the little ones, and I count like postcards as the A6 ones as well, and then I sell lots of A4 as well. So the reason that I do those three sizes is they're really easy for me to print and trim on my printer, and they're also kind of standard sizes for outside printers, so when I'm getting batches of prints made. I also sell how many times can I say the letter S in a sentence? I also sell some square prints. Why was that so hard? I also sell some square prints in my shop, which again, I would say square tends to sell slightly less well, but it doesn't. I'm really conscious of every S I'm saying now. Anyway, I had a lisp when I was growing up, so getting flashbacks. Yeah, I think that people don't like too big prints unless they're looking for something really specific for a certain place in their home, because we have a limited amount of wall space. So yeah, I think smaller tends to do better, and they're also cheaper. So when you're first starting out, I think having more options that are less expensive is probably a good way to go. But again, different strokes for different folks. And finally, Emma also said, what products would you like to try in the future? So experimenting with products is something I'm really trying to do consciously at the moment. I have just stocked some mushroom scarves in my shop, which you have probably seen in another video. I am currently making mugs, which I am so excited about. I'm so excited! Oh, I've wanted to add mugs to my shop since I opened it, and it's finally happening this year, so I'm actually going to show the process of making some mugs in next week's vlog. So that was a well-timed question, Emma. And then I'm also looking at getting a sublimation printer so that I can also make my own t-shirts and tote bags. I feel like being able to do that would really round out the variety of products I'm able to offer in my shop, because I'm lucky enough to have a lot of really amazing, lovely repeat customers. But again, everyone has limited wall space in their home, and I don't think that you can buy an infinite number of art prints. So I'm definitely consciously trying to add variety to my shop in terms of products. So yeah, that's definitely something that I am working on at the moment. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope it's been helpful. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me and just being wonderful, wonderful human beings. Thank you to anyone that has ordered from my shop recently. I am so busy, and that is one of the reasons why I'm able to take the time to make videos like this. And of course, thank you for being here and for watching and sticking around. You're great. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can check out my Instagram or Patreon. I post videos every Thursday here on YouTube, so if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.